Globally, the Earth has around 620,000 kilometres of coastline. Coastlines are dynamic and constantly changing, as they are shaped by the erosive action of waves, tides and currents. The Isle of Mull has a coastline which is 480 kilometres long, and this provides a vital ecosystem for many marine plants, animals and insects. Mull's extensive coastal habitat, including its offshore islands and locks, supports a plethora of seabird species. It has been calculated that each summer around the British Isles, 70,000 tonnes of seabird are on the wing. We know more now than we ever have about seabirds, but this knowledge has come at a price. Seabirds have been subjected to cruel, unethical and inhumane experiments over the years in order to understand them better. We're going to take you through our seabird journey on the Isle of Mull, starting in Oben harbour. Oben is a bustling coastal town and is known as the gateway to the Isles, as it is from here that you can get ferries over to the Inner and Outer Hebrides. In the harbour wall in Oben, there are between 15 to 30 pairs of nesting black guillemots, who have made their home in the drainage holes coming out of the wall along the waterfront. In the summer, they can easily be identified by their striking black and white plumage and bright red feet. They are duck-sized seabirds which dive to catch their prey. They need to be hardy and able to withstand impact into the water. Once we got to the Isle of Mull, there were a variety of different wading birds foraging amongst the seaweed, sand and mud along its extensive coastline. One of the smaller species of wader which we saw was the common Sandpiper, which breeds across temperate and subtropical Europe in the summer, and then they migrate to Africa, southern Asia and Australia in the winter. The Sandpiper uses its sight to feed in shallow water, where it feeds on things like insects, worms and mollusks. They have a relatively small bill, and they can regularly be seen bobbing up and down in a behaviour known as teetering. We were also really lucky to see the UK's largest wading bird, the Eurasian Curly. These birds have long, down-curved, sensitive bills which they use like a pair of chopsticks to pick up its prey of worms, shellfish and shrimps, which they find along the shore. Mull's coastal landscape is also important for the majestic, reintroduced white-tailed seagull, which live, hunt and feed along Mull's locks and shoreline. Whilst the Isle of Mull itself is remote, you can get remoter still by taking a small boat to the Treshnish Isles, which are a haven for marine life. The largest of these islands is Lunga, which is a designated Site of Special Scientific Interest. The island is important for a variety of marine life, including the grey seal colonies which can be seen bobbing in the water and lying on the rocks as you approach the island. It also boasts a huge variety of seabird colonies, including storm petrels, kittiwakes, Manx shearwater, Guillemot, razorbill, puffins and European shags. We were amazed how tame and unbothered by people the seabirds on Lunga were. Several breeding pairs of shags had their nests in the rocks right in the middle of the path. As well as dodging the nesting shags, you had to watch that you weren't veering even a couple of centimetres off the path, as the ground was covered with puffin burrows and razorbill nests. The razorbills were sleek and almost menacing, with their jet black heads and perfectly straight white line running from their beak to their eye. We were close enough to them to see the spine-like structures on the roof of their bright yellow mouths, which allow them to carry multiple fish in one go without dropping them. Let's look at puffins in a bit more detail. The puffins you see in the summer, with their bright orange beaks, feet and legs, are very different to the dull, grey-coloured puffins you see in the winter when they are not breeding. In the build-up to the breeding season, the birds eat more in order to put on weight to deal with the intense physical demands of reproduction. In the winter, both the male and female's reproductive organs shrink, with the male's testicles shrinking to the size of poppy seeds. These organs and reproductive structures grow larger in time for the summer breeding season. Puffin parents are relentless, diving between 600 and 1,500 times a day to try and catch sand eel, sprats or capelin. Pufflings fledge from the colony at night to head out to sea, and they do this alone without their parents to teach them any of the skills about the ocean world they are about to enter. In the last 60 years, seabirds have declined across the world's oceans by around 2/3, and it's predicted that global puffin populations will decline by around 50 to 80% over the next 65 years. So the seabird decline could be traced to declines in a species of planktonic shrimp, which was replaced by a thinner, less fatty species as the ocean warmed. Sand eel and many other species had relied on this specific species of shrimp as a food source, so sand eel numbers started to fall as their prey did, and this meant that seabirds like puffins were not finding enough sand eels to eat, and therefore their chicks were dying. A decline in sand eel populations isn't the only threat to seabird colonies. Human-induced climatic changes are altering oceanographic patterns, as well as causing the oceans to warm and become more acidic. Industrial fishing is posing significant threats as well, with birds being caught in fishing gear and fleets extracting more than 2/3 of the fish that are usually available as prey for the birds. This might sound like a lot of doom and gloom, but there is hope. Adam Nicholson ends his book by saying that seabirds are not necessarily passive victims of the giant changes occurring to their world. They respond, they learn, and they have within them and between them an adaptability and resourcefulness which the very process of destruction can bring to the fore. It all comes back to thinking about the future we want to create for ourselves and the species we share our planet with. The decisions we make today will impact the future of our atmosphere, oceans, and wildlife for generations to come.